If you're a person who traditionally reads the syllabus, you'll know that every class you've taken at Elon has a set of learning objectives. It's a bulleted list, usually near the beginning of the document, and it contains the things that you should be able to accomplish by the time you finish and hopefully pass the course. Two of the learning objectives for this class are relevant to the major project you complete in this class, the academic research paper. I'll read them to you. One objective says that you will, quote, engage in research and analysis to investigate significant ideas that shape issues in media and communication, end quote. Further down in the list, you'll find an objective that states that you will, quote, write clearly and effectively to develop a scholarly paper that explores a specific aspect of a communication topic or issue, end quote. I'm not really sure that anyone in academia really uses the name scholarly paper much anymore. So in this class, I'm going to call it by another name, academic research. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what that term means and what it means for what you're going to do in this class. The first goal of this lesson is to get you familiar with this term by describing the characteristics of academic research. What do I mean when I say this? How does academic research differ from other types of research you may have done in your college career? But there's another thing this lesson is designed to accomplish. I'm going to end this video by giving you some examples of past academic research conducted by students in this class. By doing this, I hope to give you an idea of just how many different topics you can pursue for your research. I'm also going to talk about the different methods that you might use to produce original research about those topics. In that way, this video is designed as sort of a launching pad for the academic research paper that you will ultimately write for this class. And although it may seem hard to believe, in just a few short months, that paper will be in your rearview mirror. Academic research. I'm going to use this term a lot in this class, and I want to start out by clarifying what I mean by it. You're probably asking yourself, isn't all research academic research? If you define the term only by this first characteristic, you're sort of right. Academic research is conducted in order to expand the body of knowledge about a topic. We conduct academic research because we want to know something, and no one has ever done research to find that thing out before. But here's a key characteristic of academic research that differentiates it from some of the other things that you might be thinking about when you hear the term research. Academic research is conducted using certain research methods in certain ways that have been deemed appropriate for learning about new things and expanding the body of knowledge. We all sort of know this inherently by our experience in the world. For instance, if someone conducts a survey, but only gives that survey to 3 people, we know that the results of that survey aren't reliable. That's because survey research has been deemed appropriate for expanding the body of knowledge only when it has an acceptable sample size, which is obviously more than 3 people. Another characteristic of academic research is that the research method that is used needs to be appropriate to the type of knowledge that the researcher is hoping to gain. You'll learn about this a little more in depth in a few weeks when you start developing your own research question and deciding on an acceptable method for answering that question. The final characteristic of academic research is that this kind of research exists within a larger system where people are constantly doing research to learn new things and expand the body of knowledge. You'll learn more about this in the next lesson. What you should know for now is that in addition to being conducted in a certain way, academic research is also reported or written about in a certain way so that it can be shared, usually in academic journals. These video lessons are designed to not only help you through the process of designing and conducting your research, but also reporting the process and results of that research according to the standards for academic journals. This is a really important clarification and point of emphasis. That's why it gets its own slide. When I use the term academic research, when I talk about the research you're going to do in this class, what I'm referring to is primary research. You might have also heard this referred to as original research. I will use that term from time to time. But I like to use the term primary research because of how it defines this type of research. Primary research is defined as research that is conducted by the researcher using a method such as a survey, interviews, focus groups, or a content analysis, for example. If you want to look at it another way, for primary research, you actually do something. That's defined in contrast to secondary research, where you look at the results of other people's primary research and try to learn something from that. It's important to keep in mind that every time I use this phrase academic research, I'm referring to primary research. I'm talking about something that the researcher actually does to expand the body of knowledge. Now, I'm about to make this dreaded senior class, and trust me, I know that this class has a reputation, seem deceptively easy. It's not easy, of course. One former student said about this paper assignment, and I quote, "It's just a lot. It's not hard work. It just takes a long time." I would actually agree that what you're about to do in this class, fundamentally, isn't really hard work. It might be unfamiliar work, but these video lessons and our in-class exercises will help expose you to the parts of this type of research that you might not be familiar with. At the end of the day, the premise to this class is simple. First, you're going to identify a topic that you're interested in. In order to follow the learning objectives, we have to make sure that this is a topic that's related to media and communication. But if there's anything you've learned in your time here, it's maybe that just about everything we do in today's world is about communication when you really get down to it. Once you pick your topic, you're going to read the results of previous academic research in order to learn what we already know about this topic. You're going to do this by reading academic journal articles on this topic, and ultimately by writing a summary of that academic research that will go into your paper as the literature review. And once you've learned what we already know about a topic, you're going to pick something that you want to know that we don't already know about. A question about your topic that hasn't been asked and answered by academic research yet. You're going to select an appropriate research method to answer that question, and you're going to come up with a plan for conducting that research. Then you're going to do that research. And then you're going to write about that research. Ultimately, your efforts are going to expand what we know about that topic, which is exactly what academic research exists to do. So let's talk about the research you'll do in this class, and then I'll give you a few examples of past projects to get your wheels turning about what you might be interested in for your research topic. Yes, your topic does have to be related to media and communication, but generally speaking, we can find a way to make just about any topic relate to media and communication, as you'll see from some of the examples. From all accounts, both mine and those of the students who've taken this class before you, your experience will be infinitely better in this class if you pick a topic that you're interested in. Don't feel like you have to pick a topic in your specific major, especially if it's something you already talk about a lot, because you might ultimately get sick of it, especially if you've learned and written a lot about it already. Another thing you can do to improve your experience in this class is to pick a research topic that's meaningful to you. Something that can give you insight or fresh knowledge that might help inspire positive change. We're going to spend the first week and a half of class focusing on developing your topic, because choosing that topic well is an important first step to having a good experience in this course. Okay, so let's talk about some examples of past projects in this class. I know it can be a little bit daunting to start from nothing and to have a pretty broad guideline on what kind of topics that you can research for this course. So I give you these examples not to steer you in any particular direction, but to show you just how broad the scope of media and communication research can be, which I think is pretty cool. For each of these examples, I'm also going to talk about the types of research method that the student used, so that you can get an idea of what I'm talking about when I say that phrase, academic research. Remember, this type of research is always primary research, which means that you're going to actually do something. A couple of years ago, I had a student who was a tennis player, and she was interested in the ways that professional female tennis players interacted with their fans on Instagram. This was right around the time where Naomi Osaka took a leave from the sport for mental health reasons, and the student was interested by the reaction she saw to that action from Osaka's Instagram followers. What that student did was to look at comments on the Instagram posts from two professional tennis players, Osaka and Eugenie Bouchard. The student performed a quantitative content analysis of those comments, looking for and counting instances of tennis and non-tennis related comments, of vulgar comments, and instances of personal threats. She did this in the context of looking at what's called parasocial relationships, where people develop relationships with celebrities or other people they don't actually know. The student ultimately concluded that Instagram provided a platform for the establishment of parasocial relationships and that those relationships could easily become toxic in nature. Next project. Look, when I say you can do your research on just about anything, I really mean it. Last spring, a student wanted to do her research about Taylor Swift. Truth be told, I'm a pretty big Swiftie myself, so I was all for it. Eventually, this student honed in on Taylor Swift's use of what's called Easter eggs in her marketing and social media communication. Easter eggs are defined as, quote, an intentional inside joke, hidden message, or feature in a work such as a computer program, video game, movie, book, or crossword puzzle, unquote. These Easter eggs have traditionally been a hallmark of Swift's celebrity persona. This student was also interested in parasocial relationships, so she looked at fan comments on posts about Swift and their discussions of these so-called Easter eggs. The student used a qualitative content analysis. So instead of counting, she looked for common themes in these fans' discussions of Easter eggs and concluded that this discourse among fans helped them establish a parasocial relationship with the singer. One thing I always suggest in this class is that you research something that's interesting to you. As this is a class for seniors, it's not surprising that this next topic was of interest to a student last spring. She was about to graduate from college herself, and she had concerns about how artificial intelligence, AI, might affect her potential ability to get a job. She was curious to learn if this feeling was common amongst her fellow students. So she conducted a survey where she asked questions about AI and how students felt this might affect their career potential. Remember how I said that certain research methods are appropriate to answering certain kinds of research questions? This is a good example of that. If you want to generalize about a larger population by only asking a sample of people from within that population, you have to do that using a survey. This student collected survey responses from about 150 college students, and about 75% of those were seniors. She learned that while students were definitely concerned about the potential of AI to threaten their jobs as a postgraduate, they also saw AI as a tool with great potential to positively impact them in their work by providing additional opportunities. Last example. The other advice I give to students is to do their research on something that's meaningful. Something that, if we learn new things about it, we might be able to use those things to make a positive difference in the world. Last semester, I had a student who's interested in going into the music industry. So her research question focused on a really important topic, mental health for underrepresented groups in that industry. She conducted in-depth interviews with some women and genderqueer individuals in the music industry and learned some really interesting things about how these folks worked to protect their mental health. These individuals shared strategies for protecting their mental health, such as pursuing passion projects outside the industry, setting strict boundaries, and finding allies. What's cool about this research is that the coping strategies that this student learned about can be shared with other underrepresented individuals in this industry. And that can ultimately have a positive impact on those individuals' mental health. I'm going to leave you with some advice from one of my students in the fall section of this course. I think this is a great way to think about starting your research journey in this class.